Hello, hello, hello. Well, we're back, and in South Texas, it is feeling like fall. So I do believe this is fake fall number one, but it's probably the first Halloween we've had that you had to wear a jacket in years that I can recall. So with that in mind, I kind of wanted to paint a fall painting to go along with the weather. And I have this one. It was actually made by AI, but I thought it was so pretty, and I'll list all the colors we use below and the brushes I happen to pick out. Usually it's just my favorite brushes. And we're going to give this a shot. There won't be a tracer because it really is going to be really simple. And I hope you paint along with me and post your paintings. I love to see them. Let's get started. I'm just going to start with an 8x10. And let's just do it small and paint it up pretty quick. This can go anywhere when it's an 8x10. It's kind of nice because it fits in a lot of places. And then we might just decide to go ahead and do a bigger one later. But let's see how it works. We're going to start out with the following colors. Okay, so we're going to start with Phthalo Blue, white, lemon yellow, yellow ochre, scarlet, sap green, and black. And I know I've got way too much paint on here for an 8x10. I'm just used to doing bigger paintings. So I will end up putting this in a container or covering it with a little damp paper towel and some cellophane and sticking in the fridge. Will also preserve it for a while too. That's a good tip to know. Okay, so let's start with the background. I'm going to dip into my Phthalo Blue and some white and just a touch of black. I just kind of want to be this. This is going to be a kind of a grayish blue. Maybe a little lighter. And let's kind of start that at the bottom. We're just going to lay this in here. We know that the darkness goes about halfway up, right around there. And I'm just literally slapping this down there and letting it go where it wants to go. And of course I see a little black in there, which is fine. So we'll just do the dark blue in the middle here. I'm going to go ahead and carry it all the way down. Even though it's not in the bottom, it just will give us a good foundation. And I just keep mixing more of my blue and my white and my black. And down towards the bottom here, I'm about in the middle of where this is. So a quarter of the way down, I went a little darker. Just because about, not halfway, about right here. So maybe a third of the way, we're going to darken it up right there a little bit. Just because that's going to be really our shadows. And we kind of want to make sure that it's kind of darker in there. And the bottom, real down here doesn't really matter. We're going to have that with greens and reds and things. So about blue almost halfway up, and then with the darker color kind of in the middle of that. And I wonder if we should go a little darker. Let's just leave that alone for now. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush. And sorry, it's right by where my camera hangs, so you're going to bounce a little bit. Okay. Then let's go ahead and let's take the blue. We're going to lighten it up. And we'll do that next layer up. It's a little lighter blue. Kind of blend it in. And I'm just going back and forth. We'll just blend it into that blue real good there. And we'll add some more right there just to make it blend a little easier, I think. And oops, we're going to lighten it up as we go, not darken it up. So that's about another third right there. And then we're going to go really light as we get towards the top. So I'm going to add a lot of white to my brush. Kind of blend it in here. And again, I'm just going back and forth. We just kind of want these shades to kind of blend together. And, you know, you can start at the top or bottom. It just doesn't matter. I just chose to start towards the bottom with that darker color to see what it was going to look like. And, of course, I paint the outside of my canvas so that I don't have to frame it. I can just hang it on a wall and it just wraps all the way around. So we've got it going from dark to light. Oops, that looks pretty good. And then down here, I'm going to go ahead and let's do a little bit more of that darker color. It's a little darker, but that's okay. We're going to blend that right in there. And see how that dark's right in here? That's going to be between our trees and all the way to the sides too. And I'm just going up and down and back and forth. And there we go. We've got a little ombre look going on. I guess I'm showing my age. That's definitely an older thing, I think. Okay, so we've got that for now. I'm going to go ahead and bring that in here. Make sure my outside edges look good. And let's let this dry so that the red and yellow don't blend in, or we're going to have a nice big green mess. So through the magic of video, I'm going to pause this and we'll be back when it's dry. Okay, so now we need to kind of block in where our road's going to go. So I'm going to use a little bit of yellow ochre. And we're going to start in the middle about a third of the way up. So right here, and let's do it in the middle, and it's going to kind of swing out this way. A little more yellow, it's going to swing this way and then this way, and swing out big here. And then back this way. Okay, so it's a little in the middle, and of course as it comes closer, keeping it in perspective, it gets a lot lighter at the bottom. So kind of like, about like that. It's just like an S starting in the middle and then down like that. So we kind of got the road blocked out, which is good. And that's just really just the basic. I mean for the, just like a placeholder, a little bit in the background. I'm going to smooth that out a little because I don't want any bumps on that just yet. Now we're going to, I just left my brush dirty. I'm going to get a little bit of sap green and I'm going to mix it with a little black. And let's make that a good olive green, kind of a dark olive green. Mixing with that yellow is pretty good. And now beside the road, excuse me, about down below the first curve, we're going to put in some green here and we're just touching it. It doesn't have to be smooth because we're going to cover a lot of that. And I do want to cover the white down here. And I'm just kind of blending that in like that. And we'll cover the green. And I need to make a little bit more of that color. Oops, too much black. Got a dark, dark olive there. I'm going to add a little yellow, a little more green. That is pretty dark. Need a lot more green. That's what happens when you dip it too much into the black. It does not take much black paint. So over here, the green's kind of up here. And we'll put it down by here. And this kind of, you know, let's carry it over and we'll just go ahead and let that green show through in a little bit. Let's go ahead and go all the way up to here. And we'll carry that over. And on the other side, we'll go ahead and carry it over here too. And it's just messy. I'm not doing anything clean. No straight lines. This is going to be, you know, in the woods in the fall. You see some of that black coming through, and that's fine too. If we want to, we'll cover it later. And then I'm going up the sides again. And a little more. Let's see. Okay, kind of scrub that in there. And okay, that's about right. To about right there. And that'll be yellow. I'm just kind of judging by the picture. Alrighty. And that needs to be covered more here. Actually, not really that bad, but we'll go ahead and put some green in there, and it's okay if the blue's showing through. But let's go ahead and cover it. The blue can show through, that's fine too. As you know, my brush doesn't have much paint left, so it's kind of unpainting, which is fine. And just kind of rough it in a little bit. And get that started with the green. Oh, again, I'm bouncing the camera, sorry. So let's go ahead while that's drying. And oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't get any brown. So we also are going to need brown. Excuse me in front of the camera there. Okay. Let's get a little bit of the brown. And this is just, oops, I call it brown. And this is going to be burnt umber is what I grabbed. So we'll use burnt umber. So now I'm just going to kind of get an idea about where my trees are. So I'm just going to dip that brush in. It still has the green on it, blue and white, I don't care. We're just going to start kind of place the trees. So one of them kind of comes up about right here, a couple inches from the bottom. And it goes all the way up almost to the top, but right near the edge. I'm going to put that in here. And about to right there. And I'm going to go ahead and paint the outside, even though they get bigger towards the bottom. We'll just go ahead and incorporate the brown into the outside. Kind of bring this out a little more here. And yeah, kind of like that. Then we're going to take, let's see, let's put in a couple of, let's put in a couple back here. One comes down like this, a couple of thin ones. This one's kind of like that. And then a few in the background. And these we will lighten up as we go. And then one's about right here. And then over on the other side, working our way forward, maybe about right here. And I'm just making little sticks. Just dragging my paint in there and up on the canvas. And just to kind of give us some placeholders, because all this, of course, will change. And let's go up like this with this one. And like this one goes about right here. Oops, I dipped it in blue. Okay, well, we're going to have a little blue tree right here. Get back in the brown. And then another big tree about right here. So it kind of comes up like this. And it's big on the bottom, and then it gets narrow as it comes up this way. And it kind of goes pretty much to the top of the canvas here. And we're going to put in a few little limbs. And I'm just drawing them anywhere I want them to go. And we're going to cover a lot of this with the orange. Oh, sorry. The dogs are going to start barking here in a second. So let's see. This actually comes up to the top. So let's go ahead and put this all the way up to the top, but right on the edge up here, like it's going off the edge of the canvas. And let's bring in some of the little limbs that it's got coming out of it. And this one's kind of big. And then it goes up this way. And like this, it's got some more coming off of it. And about there. And one more kind of like this. And we'll just draw that up here. And let's see, we just really, this is very random. And of course it's a tree, so it's not perfect. And we're going to cover most of it. And I think that's about it so far as the trees go. Okay, so let's go ahead and let this brown dry. Yeah, those were our trees. So let's let that dry for a few minutes. And I think the next color we'll probably pick up is going to be, let's do maybe some orange. Okay, so we're going to make the orange out of red and yellow. Actually out of the yellow ochre. and the red. And let's make a really dark orange here. And I'm using a little round brush. It's not too small, but you'll see as we go kind of the size you'll need. And let's put some dark, I'm just going to touch it where I think the dark leaves need to be. And we're just going to fill this all in here, and we're going to put some over the tree, some out on the limbs. And let's fill that in pretty good. Maybe here we can let the blue sky shine through. And put it all the way up to the top. And we're gonna just keep doing this. Oops, I got a little lemon yellow in there. So I'm gonna add a little yellow ochre. I'm just gonna keep doing the orange, just touching the canvas for the orange colored leaves. That actually made it a little darker, which is great because it doesn't have to be perfect. And let's do down here, and I'm just literally touching the canvas where I want those leaves to be. We're going to go over them with a bunch of other colors. A little more yellow. And let's see, it's kind of full, so we'll fill that in pretty good with the orange here. And just kind of keep touching the canvas. And there is no rhyme or reason to this. We're just going to fill these trees with leaves. And it's going to be a beautiful fall, colorful day. And we'll bring some out here even. Pretend like there's limbs there. They don't have to show. And now on my AI, it really looks more, when I look at the different AI paintings, it really does look more like it was done with a palette knife. But I thought, well, you know, this would be easy enough. We could do it just with a brush and make it look just as good. Okay, and then these guys down here actually have orange on them. Kind of randomly, because they're in the background. Or further back anyway. And we'll put some more down here. And I'm just going to spread the leaves out here to this one. And down here. And there's some like bushes on the ground here. So we'll just put a little orange bush here. Kind of like that. And we've got some more orange through here. And around the side. And the tree is going to have a lot of little leaves underneath it. So we're just going to, I'm going to barely touch it with some smaller leaves down here so that it comes out from the tree. And see, there's no real true shape to these. And we'll put a little more orange kind of down in here, like the leaves have blown out into the grass. And then maybe right up against this little path here, put in some orange. And I'm just touching it. And it has it on this side. A little orange. More orange down here. And this kind of stops on this side about right here. The orange does. So then a little more red and yellow ochre. Maybe a little of that lemon yellow. That was kind of pretty. And this tree over here is not as dark. So I'm not going to put in as many of the dark leaves. For some reason, it's just not as dark on this side. Maybe it changed a little faster. So we'll put in some of the dark, kind of as a foundation. Just showing the leaves everywhere. So as you can see, I'm putting in less. And there are actually trees back in the background and bushes, so these can be random throughout. That's got a little yellow in it, and that's okay too. And pretty much that's kind of about it for the dark colors over there, and maybe a little beneath the tree. Yeah, that's kind of like that. That's about it on as far as the dark colors go. So now I definitely want to let this dry, because when we start adding the lighter colors on top, we don't want it to blend it all in, or it'll all end up being one big orange blob. So let's wait a minute, let it dry. Okay, so now that this is dry, I'm going to take a little smaller round brush. It's a little smaller than the other one. Oh, maybe you can't see that. There you go. And this is I don't even know what number it is. Let's see. Oh, it's a number 2. And we're going to lighten it up just a little bit. So we're going to use orange, but we're going to use a lighter orange. So let's add a little bit more of that lemon yellow to the red. And we'll get kind of a brighter orange. And maybe a little white. Yeah, a little brighter, kind of a brighter orange, lighter orange. And we're going to go kind of over the red. We're going to let the red come through a little bit with small little jabs of the paintbrush here. Super easy. We're just going to kind of fill it in just a little. You definitely want the tree limbs to still show through. And let's bring it out a little bit further this way. And I'm just barely touching the canvas with this. Just to give it a little bit more color. And let's see. We're gonna keep this kind of dark down here. But let's maybe start like, oops, maybe in here. That's a little too yellow. I touched the yellow, sorry. Go back to the light orange. And back in here a little bit, just a little ways down. And then actually I dipped it into the lemon yellow and it lightened it up quite a bit. So that's okay too, because it's all going to be yellows and oranges. Okay, I'll make a little bit more orange with the red and lemon yellow. And this over here is a lot lighter, so there's going to be a lot more. And we will go in and lighten it up still more than this. We're going to bring it almost all the way over to this one. We're going to fill it in a little bit more than the others. And this area here, I like it's got the limbs out there. Your eye kind of catches that it's separated. And then just touching that, and then maybe down here. Kind of work our way up a little. And a little bit over here. These back here are pretty light colored, so we're going to leave them alone for now. And you can see the yellow bleeding through and some of the orange, and that's fine too. This is kind of thick in here. At least on mine it is. Yours can be however you'd like it. And we're going to take some of the orange and let's put it down here, the lighter orange by the dark orange. Just random. And on this side, kind of give it a little bit of a edge here. And I'm just putting them randomly everywhere. And let's do just a little bit over here. Oops. Need a little more red. A little too yellow. Okay, and just a little down here. Coming off the tree. And let's see, let's put a little bit kind of up in here on this side. Yeah. Just get them kind of how you like them. I didn't like all the points on those, so I went ahead and flattened them out there. And let's put a little bit like, oops, gosh darn, that should be orange. A light orange. Put that up in here. Just kind of bringing it out from the side. Okay. And now we have to let this one actually, let's see. I'm going to rinse my brush and let's just try a little bit of this. Let's get the yellow ochre. And just with the yellow ochre, we're going to touch the back here, like it's the small leaves. Just don't want it all perfect. And we'll just kind of bring it down this way where we were on the little path. I'm just touching the end of the brush to the canvas. Bring it on down this way as the inner part here. And it'll kind of blend with the other, and that's okay too, but I didn't put it too far into the middle. And if you did, you can just let it dry for a little bit and then go in with the yellow ochre. So kind of make that path a little bit more clear there. And I'm just touching that along the lines there, inside the path. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow ochre and let's kind of put it in here under this tree. Randomly. Random little leaves. Happy little leaves. And let's put a little bit over here by this tree where it's coming down here. And into the path. Okay. And then I think we need a little bit of, still with the yellow ochre, kind of in through here. I'm just touching a little bit like it's thicker leaves. More dense, I guess, where they fell here. And I'm just going over the leaves. And let's bring a little bit of the yellow this way from that one tree under the little trees and back down kind of like this, just to cover some of that green. And I have very little paint on my brush, and that way it just kind of blends in a little bit to the background instead of, you know, it looks a little bit more in the distance. Maybe go a little bit this way. I have very little paint on my brush now. Kind of blend that in a little bit in the background. Okay, now let's see a little bit more of the yellow ochre and go up in here. Oops, that's the orange. A little bit more of the yellow ochre. Go up in here. It doesn't really matter because it is going to be all orange and yellow. And we're covering just most of the green at this point. Okay, and then I think we need a little yellow ochre over here, just a little bitty tiny spots. Random. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to take a little of the yellow ochre and let's kind of fill in this tree here. And I'm just touching the canvas just kind of dabbing it on there. And then maybe down here, give it a little bit of leaves through here. Just randomly touching it. And then the yellow ochre back in here. On these. And a little more. Let's go ahead and thicken this up here. And like that. And then let's bring a little bit down here. Okay, let's go ahead and take the yellow ochre. Mine is kind of dry here. So I'm going to go back into this tree and go over the orange and red spots. And just randomly touching it to blend that dark yellow in. And up here, it's a lot more full with the yellows. So I'm going to use a little bit bigger spots here. Do it a little thicker. And then maybe thicker in here. We want to see some of the tree coming out. So you want it pretty thick, but you still want to be able to see those tree limbs. And then down here was yellow. And we're going to go ahead and let's give this guy some yellow on this end over here. This is still the yellow ochre. I'm going to go all the way up to the top and bring it down here. And bring it out to that orange. So it's connected to something. And back this way. And I think just a little bit in here is all. And maybe around the side here. And that is about it for the yellow ochre. Kind of flatten these out. I don't like that they've got little pieces hanging out there, but we're going to hide all that. Alrighty, so now we've got that done, and now we're going to let all this dry, and we're going to go put in our bright yellows and whites and lighten it up quite a bit. Actually, wait, not yet. Let me go to the dark yellow again, which is yellow, ochre, and red. And I think what I'd like to do is make it pretty dark. Let's fill this in a little more in here. Where this already kind of started. You can go back over the yellow. Just think it needs to be a little more full. Of the darker color. Okay, yeah, bring that darker color out. Down here, let's let that dry. We got to separate that a little bit. But for now, we're going to leave that. We're going to let it dry, and then we'll go add our bright colors. Okay, so let's take a smaller one even, like a number 1. We're going to dip it into the bright yellow, a round brush, sorry, into the bright yellow. And let's start highlighting. Oh, that one doesn't work very well. Let's get a different one. Okay, dip it in the bright yellow. Let's see. I thought I had a smaller round. I don't really. I have a soft one. Let's see what happens. Let's start highlighting it. spots. I hear you, Dobby. The dog's making all sorts of noise. Carry that on up here. There's not much paint on the brush now, so I just kind of start with a lot, then I go with a little. And it's really yellow out front, but towards the back of the tree it's not as yellow. So put some yellow here. Kind of separate that out a little bit, and then down here. And I kind of like the smaller dots better, smaller little spots there. And then down here, let's add some yellow to this little bush. So it's kind of separated out from the tree. And we can always go put some more orange back in if we need to. And carry on with the yellow over here. And this little tree in the background. Barely a little bit of yellow on the brush and on this tree. Carry that up into the orange. And I'm just randomly putting the yellow leaves into the darker leaves. Down here. Goes to this tree. We'll carry some of this over. Not much paint on the brush right here. Down here, we'll go ahead and carry this up here. So, maybe a little yellow in here randomly just to kind of bring it all together. Not much, because it really is dark in that side of the canvas. And more yellow here. Kind of putting it on there wherever it goes. And I'm going to bring a little bit down in here. It's not much paint. As you can tell, my paintbrush, it's really light. And then over the green a little bit. And then we'll put some yellow like right in here. Too big of a spot, but I can go over that later with the orange if I need to. Yellow, and maybe just a little yellow like over here. Like it's blown over this way too. Now on the path, let's put some yellow on the path. And these aren't, on the picture it's more painted than it is touched, but I'm just gonna put it on here and kind of smooth them out a little bit so it's almost like the path has almost all leaves on there. And smooth it out a little bit. And maybe over here some more. In here. And I think let's use a little yellow in here. just randomly, just a little bit of like the faded yellow. Just to get, I don't like how those look really, but I think they look good smushed down. I'm going to take some more of the dark orange, the red, and the yellow ochre, and put it up in here, just so it shows that it's on top there. And then, same thing over here. My brush just went all mushed on me, and that's okay. And I think that's pretty much about it. I'm going to put a little orange up in here, just towards the top. And over here, just a little. That's it. And there you go, your nice fall day. Let's see. Let me just lighten this up a little bit back here. For some highlights. I'm just barely touching the white. There's some white highlights in here. Kind of brighten it up just a little. Barely touching it. Kind of spreading around. And that's about it. That's easy peasy. You could do this with Q-tips. You can do it with, gosh, anything you want to do it with. But there you go, your nice fall day. Thank you for watching. I hope you had fun. And that's it. So y'all have a good Halloween. Today is Halloween. And a good fake fall day. See you soon. Bye-bye.